All right, in the next 5 minutes, we're going to build a playbook for modern marketing. We're cutting right through all the noise to give you a clear, step-by-step guide based on strategies that are actually working today. Let's jump in. I mean, that's the big question, right? It's not like we're short on tools or information. We're practically drowning in it. The real challenge, the real trick, is figuring out how to piece it all together into a strategy that actually works. Okay, here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll talk about actually making the content, then how to get people to find it. After that, we'll zoom in on one specific platform, cover the huge mistakes you need to avoid, and finally, look at how to read the scoreboard to know if you're winning. First things first, the content creation engine. Every single creator out there faces this relentless, never-ending demand for new stuff. It's a massive challenge, but a recent explosion in technology is completely changing the game. And wow, look at this. This is what I'm talking about. We're seeing this huge explosion of AI tools like Jarvis and WriteSonic that are built to solve this exact problem. And the key thing here isn't just about writing faster. It's about completely smashing through writer's block and coming up with 10 different angles for one idea in minutes instead of hours. Yeah, and to be super clear, these things aren't just glorified spell checkers. The big idea here is that they take your little seed of an idea, your keywords, and turn it into actual fully formed written content. This tackles that first huge hurdle, just having something ready to publish. Okay, so let's see how this all connects, because once you've created that amazing piece of content, that's great, but how does anyone actually find it in the sea of millions of other things out there? Well, that's where the magic of SEO, or search engine optimization, comes in. And a huge part of that is this thing called backlinks. Think of it like a popularity contest for the internet. It's pretty simple, really. You make something great, another website links to it, and Google sees that link as a thumbs up, a vote of confidence, which boosts you up in the search results. Now, this process is so important that, of course, a whole industry has popped up to basically do it for you. And notice the language they use, right? Manually done, safe methods. What they're trying to do is reassure you, to say, hey, we're not using any sketchy tricks that Google will penalize you for. They're promising to build those votes of confidence that the algorithm wants to see. I mean, that promise is it's incredibly powerful, isn't it? The idea of taking your work from being totally invisible and putting it right in front of the exact people who are looking for it, that's the dream, right? That's the whole point of SEO. All right, so we've got tools to create content and tools to get it found. That's awesome. But tools without a strategy, they're kind of useless. So let's get super practical and focus on one of the biggest stages in the entire world, YouTube. One of the biggest things that holds people back is this question. Do I need some kind of Hollywood-level production, or can I just make something at home? And the sources are really clear on this. You don't need a massive budget. In fact, sometimes that raw, homemade feel, that authenticity, it can actually create a way stronger and more genuine connection with your viewers. And here's a perfect example of a key strategy. In a world where people can click away in a nanosecond, respecting their time is everything. The data shows that keeping your videos short, to the point, and impactful, ideally 5 minutes or less, is a winning formula. Okay, so we're starting to build a positive strategy, but it's just as important, maybe even more important, to know what the big don'ts are. There are some really common traps that can just kill your efforts before you even get going. Yeah, the source material points out some really critical mistakes. Some are so simple, but they can cost you, like just forgetting to put your website link in the description. Others are bigger, strategic mistakes, like not using the right keywords so people can find your stuff, or just making a really boring talking head video that puts everyone to sleep. And this really gets to the heart of it. A video you shoot on your phone can be absolutely charming and effective, right? But if it's blurry, if the audio is terrible and you can't hear what's being said, well, that's not low tech, that's just poor quality. And it's going to frustrate people and make them click away. All right, on to the final piece of our playbook, measurement. The old saying, if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. So how do you actually know if all this work is paying off? This is your scoreboard. Analytics data like this tells you exactly what people are doing on your site. But let's be real. When you first look at a table like this, it can just look like a big jumble of confusing numbers. For example, you might see a big number like this, an 84% bounce rate, and you're just left thinking, is that good? Is that bad? What does that even mean? It means that the vast majority of people who landed on that page, they just left. They took one look and bounced right out without clicking anything else. Now, this is where it gets interesting. That 90% bounce rate on a super specific article, hey, maybe that's fine. Someone Googled a question, got their answer in 30 seconds, and left happy. But a nearly 70% bounce rate on your main homepage? Oof, that's a huge warning sign that your main message just isn't connecting. And that right there brings us full circle back to the big picture. The key takeaway is that success in this world, it isn't some magic bullet. It's a loop, a constant cycle of creating, promoting, strategizing, measuring the results, and then refining your approach to do it all over again, but better. So I want to leave you with this final thought. As AI gets better at writing content and all these tools make promotion easier and easier, what's going to make your voice stand out from the noise? In a world where all the technical stuff is becoming a commodity, maybe the most valuable skill of all is just having something truly unique, authentic, and human to say.